Have you ever thought about how a single life could, you know, connect something like law, which is so precise, with poetry? Or blend really rigorous academic work with deep spiritual thinking?
It's quite a mix, isn't it?
It really is. And doing all that while challenging how we think about truth and purpose, that's really at the heart of our deep dive today.
Right.
We're looking into the work and the mind of Manuel del Valle y Colón, specifically his latest collection, Omnibus Poetry 39's Ascension.
And this isn't just about reading poems. Our goal here is to really unpack the whole picture.
Exactly. It's an invitation, really, for you to maybe reconsider how you approach life's challenges, those unexpected moments, and, well, your own growth.
Yeah, we want to explore not just the poetry itself, but the whole tapestry of his life. His experiences, you see, they feed directly into his art, his philosophy.
And his idea of ascension seems key here.
It is. And it's interesting because for him, it's not just climbing higher. It's more of a constant process, learning, changing, and really importantly, questioning assumptions.
Assumptions in law, in numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Or even in how we think about our own lives, our personal evolution. It's a very dynamic view.
So we'll be looking at his biography, his legal work, his cultural background, philosophical thoughts, all tied together by this theme, ascension.
That's the plan.
Okay, so let's start with the person, Manuel del Valle y Colón. The sources paint him as, well, a pretty rare voice. Authentic, intellectual, creative.
Definitely. He moves between these different worlds. Distinguished attorney, yes, but also a prolific poet, always seeking justice and beauty.
So his life is kind of about interpreting things, examining them, trying to elevate existence through words and action.
That sums it up well. And there's this digital tribute we looked at that really captures it.
Oh, yeah. What did it say?
It described him as someone who built bridges not just between geographies, but between realms, the legal and the luminous, the historical and the mythical, the spoken and the felt.
Wow, the legal and the luminous. That's quite a pairing.
Isn't it? And it mentions his voice, shaped at Princeton and Yale Law, how its persistent principled title in court.
Title.
Yeah.
Like the ocean. Powerful, relentless.
Yeah, exactly. But then in his poetry, it's profoundly reverent. It's that duality again, navigating these different spaces.
Which brings us right to Ascension, the collection. The themes he covers, it's a lot. Transformation, chaos, recovery, nature, art, trauma.
Playfulness, love, intimacy, history, even math.
Right, math. As a metaphor for life, it seems almost overwhelming. How does he tie it all together? Is there a central thread?
That's a great question. I think the dedication gives us a big clue.
Okay.
He dedicates it to people who have risen to the occasion in their daily lives, and also those who have wondered about the symmetry and asymmetry of numbers as they ascend or descend, teaching us lessons about rules and their limits.
Ah, so he connects everyday struggles rising to the occasion with these bigger questions about numbers, rules, limits.
Precisely. It links the personal write-up with the philosophical, the mathematical even. Ascension becomes this journey of the mind, the spirit, and how we structure thought.
It makes you wonder how someone develops such a, well, multifaceted perspective. Where did he come from? His background must play a huge role.
Absolutely. He was born in East Harlem, New York City, October 1948.
Okay.
Grew up in the Carver and Douglas projects. His parents were from Puerto Rico. Those roots, they run deep.
And even early on, at Brooklyn High School,
Yeah.
he was involved in a lot.
He really was. Free World Club, polling squad, debating society, fencing team manager.
Yeah.
Quite a range.
And the yearbook messages you mentioned. Amateur historian, favorite philosopher, don't be too analytical. It sounds like people already saw this complex, questioning mind.
Yeah, even then. Refusing to be put in one box. Exploring different avenues.
And his involvement with Aspera. That seems crucial, too.
Definitely. He was Issues and Actions Chairman for the Clubs Federation, trained by Antonia Pantoja herself, Aspera's founder.
So that early civil rights work, that activism, it started young.
It did. It clearly set the stage for his later legal career, his focus on social justice.
Then his academic path. He called it an ascension itself. Yale Transitional Year, Wesleyan.
Right, researching identity at Wesleyan, then studying Spanish literature in Madrid, Puerto Rican history and Rio Piedras, really immersing himself.
Broaden his world. And then Princeton, 69 to 71. That seems like a pivotal time.
Hugely impactful. He founded the Latino organization there, recruited students, started one of the first Ivy League seminars on Puerto Rican history and politics.
Which was groundbreaking at the time.
Absolutely. But the biggest thing, His senior thesis. A chapter from it got used in a memo for Senator Javits.
Okay, and that led somewhere.
It led to the landmark Aspera v. Board of Education case. The Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund used that memo.
The case that mandated bilingual education in New York City.
That's the one. A massive victory for language access, not just in NYC, but it set a precedent nationally. And it stemmed in part from his undergraduate thesis work.
That's incredible. Quite an impact for a student.
It really is. And then he went on to Yale Law, graduated in '74, classmates with Clarence Thomas Lonnie Guarnier.
It's your STEAM cohort.
Yeah. And while there, he founded Despierta Boricua, another organization focused on Puerto Rican identity and culture. Kept teaching courses on Puerto Rican history, too. Always that dual focus, law and cultural advocacy.
So his career path after Yale Law seems like a direct continuation of all this.
Completely. Straight into being a trial attorney with the Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Working on cases like Pabon v. Levine.
Exactly. That case ensured things like unemployment notices were available in Spanish, making sure people could actually access essential services. Critical work. Then over a decade with the U.S. Department of Labor.
And he became the first Puerto Rican chief administrative for the New York State Division of Human Rights.
He did. From '91 to '95, he really prioritized cases on racial and sexual harassment, AIDS discrimination, tough, important issues.
Then later, chief administrative law judge for Social Security in Puerto Rico for 10 years. A long career in public service.
Undeniably. But he didn't just stay in the courtroom or administrative roles.
Right, the fellowships. London School of Economics.
Yep, Rockefeller Fellowship there, studying Puerto Rican jurisprudence before the Supreme Court. He also trained to become an arbitrator through Cornell, one of the few Puerto Rican arbitrators at the time.
And the Ford Foundation Fellowship, leading to that big monograph on national origin discrimination.
A 400-page monograph, yeah. And an article in the Harvard Journal of Hispanic Policy. It just shows that constant drive to explore, research, understand things deeply across different fields and cultures, always circling back to human rights.
It's amazing how all these threads, law, activism, culture, deep research, seem to flow right into his poetry.
Yeah.
Let's dive into Ascension, the book, now.
Yeah.
How do these experiences show up in the poems?
We'll take the theme of transformation through chaos and recovery. He doesn't shy away from chaos.
He sees it as necessary.
Seems so, like a catalyst. One poem says, "The world precipitates chaos into coming alive." And interestingly, it talks about eliminating the linear nature of mental gyrations, of thought patterns preset with bias and prejudice.
Eliminating linear thinking. So breaking out of rigid patterns, allowing for more complexity.
Exactly. It suggests everything's moving, nothing's fixed. That unity, maybe wholeness, comes from integrating everything, even the difficult parts. Getting beyond those biased, preset ways we often think.
That's a challenging idea. So after the chaos, how does recovery fit in? Is it like step 1 chaos, step 2 recovery?
Not quite so linear, according to the poetry. He writes that recovery exists before the surrender. The imagination before the creation, the reality before the illusion.
Before. So the potential for recovery is already there.
That seems to be the idea. It's cyclical,
Maybe.
inherent, all happening, as he puts it, in subservience to the mist of the ever-present now. It suggests healing and new beginnings are always possible, maybe even embedded in the present moment.
That ties into growth, perhaps, but also finding peace. There's a poem about wanting to stop growing, right? Like mushrooms.
Ah, yes. Shall I grow and grow like the mushrooms in the forest? It explores that vulnerability, the constant search for meaning, but then it finds repose to stop growing and simply be.
Finding repose. Just being. That sounds appealing. But how does that fit with ascension, which sounds like continuous upward movement? Is there a conflict there?
That's a sharp question. I don't think he sees it as a conflict, more like another dimension of ascension. Ascending to inner peace, maybe? Acceptance.
So sometimes growth means pausing the outward push.
Exactly. Finding that quiet center. It's a different kind of upward movement, perhaps inward, especially contrasting it as he does with the constant striving, the gray comforts of urban living.
He seems to find a lot of beauty in the ordinary, the things we might overlook, like roses in a garden.
Definitely. The poem about lavender and burgundy roses captures that quiet solemnity, the natural cycles. He talks about the gentleness that comes from passing a day here, free at last. It's a contrast he draws deliberately.
Free from the urban grind.
Yeah. Finding grace in those quiet, often unnoticed moments.
There's another image too, the miniature trains.
Right. Miniature trains carry passengers around the garden in a circular fashion. He uses it to talk about adventures of illusion, maybe preset paths we follow.
Like routine.
Could be. But then he suggests lives can find their essence by unloading their dreams onto tracks of their own making, moving beyond the fixed structures, the fixed totems of urban steel, finding your own path, even within cycles.
Even something as simple as hanging laundry becomes meaningful.
It does. Hanging up clothes on a clothesline, celebrating the mundane in the form of socks and underclothes. It reminds us that duty arises in the smallest of places.
So those small chores, they prepare us.
That's the idea. They prepare us for the bigger battles, defeats, and triumphs. There's dignity in the everyday.
And simple joys, like ice cream.
Yes. The first ice cream cone of the day has the ability to cool down everything that occurred earlier. It connects to innocence, love, the comfort of grandmothers, simple, powerful connections.
Let's shift to art. He talks about art revealing and concealing truth. How does that work in his view?
Well, there's a striking poem about black paint thrown on a white canvas. It describes art coming from unrelenting fury, anger, frustration.
Raw emotion.
Exactly. And it leaves the viewer to figure out the story, the motivation. So art isn't just giving you an answer, it's presenting this darkened revelation. It demands something from you.
A darkened revelation, meaning it reveals something, but maybe obscurely. It's not straightforward.
Precisely. He goes on to say, art manipulates truth by masking and unmasking it. It's always searching, lost in ambiguity sometimes, then refound on the edges of understanding.
So art isn't just reflecting reality. It's actively shaping our understanding of it.
Yes, and it has power. He suggests it can exorcise the urban demons, shake up our current views, inspire the creation of a new day. It's a force for change.
He mentions art installations, too, combining light and sound.
Right, how those installations can turn visitors into visionaries, creating something minimalist, efficient, and almost like a haiku in structure, connecting people searching for meaning in a world that often overlooks that kind of value.
Thinking about meaning, let's touch on trauma and memory. How does he approach the way trauma connects us, maybe even burdens us?
It's handled with real empathy. There's a line. We are tenants in the minds of another person's trauma. Unwittingly, we are drawn to put down stakes in worlds unknown to us.
Tenants in someone else's trauma.
Wow. It paints this picture of being lost in the delusions of someone else's unconsciousness, carrying memories or feelings that aren't even actively present for the other person anymore. It speaks volumes about inherited pain, empathy, those invisible ties.
And intimacy, too. There's a poignant line about holding someone.
Yes. I held you tight, but not tight enough. It touches on that sense of unfulfilled connection, soulmates, the tentative cords that bind the visionaries of each age, those invisible links that are somehow strengthened by the tugging and leaving, loss and connection being intertwined.
This brings us to that really intriguing part.
Yeah.
Mathematics is a metaphor. It seems counterintuitive, maybe. Law and poetry, okay. But math.
It is fascinating. He acknowledges its appeal, saying, there is something about math that is alluring, addictive, the knowledge that numbers can ascend or descend in a predictable order. They're like reliable friends.
Predictable. Reliable. Unlike life sometimes.
Exactly. Math offers a systematic form of guesswork with their own rules of probability. He sees it as something that shines truth on ignorance, but importantly, it also admits its limits and fallacies for all to see.
So it's useful, but honest about its boundaries.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Which leads to the challenge. How do you apply that kind of logic to messy human life?
Yeah, life rarely fits a clean formula.
He explores this directly in a poem about teens at a math camp. They're struggling because equations with their underlying assumptions, for they assume an equality that is not in real life.
The models don't always match reality.
Right. It teaches them that these models are just a form of informed guesswork, and that true understanding requires you to ascend here far beyond the assiduous use of equations. You need more than just the formula.
So using math analogies for life, like the quadratic equation one.
Yeah, he says, life is like a quadratic equation. The result depends on the value of x that make the equation. Meaning, it all depends. Lots of variables.
Makes sense.
But then he pivots. Unlike math, life simply does not add up or divides regardless of the sophistication of our analysis.
You can't always balance the equation of life.
Precisely. So he urges us to ascend in knowledge, question our assumptions, find creativity in adapting, not just sticking to rigid formulas, embrace the variables, the uncertainties.
It feels like he's saying math, in its search for pure logic, maybe strips away too much.
That's a key point. He notes math is an effort to strip away anything that might interfere, reflecting the hermetic world of science.
Hermetic, like sealed off,
Yeah.
self-contained.
Exactly. Pure logic, isolated from the messiness. And while that's useful, he stresses it does not provide the only answer or approach.
So where does the real value lie?
This is where it gets really profound. He concludes, the value of life is immeasurable. Things like a simple smile, the rays of a setting sun, or the holding of the hands of a beloved.
Things you can't quantify.
Right. He says before these things, there is little of science and the greatest need of compassion. Especially, he adds, in a world trapped in anchoring meaning in the umbilicus of data, where nothing ascends and everything exists only in the void.
The umbilicus of data. Like we're trying to get all our life force, all our meaning, just from data. And risk missing the point.
That's exactly the warning. Relying only on the measurable risks leaving us in a void where real ascension, real value is lost. It's a powerful call for compassion and recognizing what truly matters beyond numbers.
Wow. We've covered so much ground. This deep dive into Manuel de Valle Colón's Ascension. It really shows an incredible life feeding into equally profound art.
It does.
His journey, from East Harlem through Yale, the legal fights, the poetry, it all feels like this constant search for understanding, for justice, mirroring the themes in his work.
Absolutely. And zooming out, that dedication we talked about to those who rise to the occasion and question rules and their limits, that feels like a direct invitation to you listening right now.
An invitation to question, to ascend in our own way.
I think so. We've seen how things like law, poetry, even math, they're all just different lenses, right? Different ways to try and understand what it means to be human, to go through chaos, find recovery, seek truth.
And to find value beyond just equations.
Exactly. Recognizing that immeasurable worth in life, even when it doesn't add up neatly.
So maybe here's a final thought for you to chew on. If Del Valle Colón is right, if nothing is fixed and everything is one with creation,
Yeah.
then how might embracing that fluidity, that constant ascension in how we see things, moving beyond fixed answers, how might that help you navigate the complex, maybe messy equations of your own life, moving towards that realm of, immeasurable value?
Something to think about.
Definitely. So our next deep dive